Attention! This makes absolutely no sense. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Zander's Facts.
Hello everyone, what is happening? Welcome into the Zander's Facts podcast. I am the aforementioned Zander, week of Wednesday, April 7th. Oh boy, we got a lot to get to. I'm recording this right after the men's national championship game, so I'm a little fired up. If you've been listening and you know who I predicted to win that game, we'll get to that in a second. We've also got this week some golf. Golf, but it's Masters week, so you gotta pay attention. Biggest golf major of the year, some say. So, we're going to talk about that. But remember, subscribe, download, rate, and review the Zander's Facts podcast on wherever you're listening to it, here on podcasts, and follow on the Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and spread the word, Zander's Facts podcast, and tell all your friends that Zander correctly predicted the national champion in college basketball this season, because he did, in his bracket. And that is me. Baylor has won the national championship 86-70 over Gonzaga, and the Bears win their first ever national championship. Sic Em! And let me tell you something. I said it was going to happen last week, so I don't know why you all didn't listen. I said it was going to happen a few weeks ago, but I said, remember last week, I said Baylor's going to beat Houston in the Final Four. That happened. Gonzaga is going to beat UCLA, the Final Four. They did. Oh my gosh. That shot, though. But many thought Gonzaga would win this game against Baylor. I did not say that. I said Baylor was going to win. And guess what happened? Baylor won by a surprising margin. 16 points. That's a surprising margin. I said, go listen. Last week, I said it's going to be a surprising margin. But a lot of people thought Gonzaga would win because they're undefeated. They did not win. First loss of the season for the Zags. First off, it's not Gonzaga, it's Gonzaga because they're not the Zogs, they're the Zags, the Bulldogs. But because Gonzaga lost and because they finished with one loss on the season, Indiana, the Indiana Hoosiers back in 1976, are still the only team in the history of college basketball to finish the season undefeated.
That's a fact!
They won all the regular season games, they won all their tournament games, they won the national championship. The Indiana Hoosiers back in 1976, Bobby Knight, still the only team to have 0 losses in a single season. But Gonzaga was the first team since 1979 to get to the championship game undefeated. That was Indiana State. Well, Indiana State, the Sycamores, they had Larry Bird. I mean, they lost to Michigan State with Magic Johnson. That was the most watched college basketball game ever. It still is. It was a great game. But Gonzaga falls to the same fate as the Sycamores. They don't get to revel in the glory of the Hoosiers. And Gonzaga, the Bulldogs, lose their first game of the season. As I said, you should have listened. All right, well, hold on. This is going to be a bragging episode of Zander's Facts, okay? Well, just for a little bit. Because I said Baylor was going to win the championship a few weeks ago. I said that. Well, Baylor was the only Final Four team that I had in. I had Iowa making the championship game with them. Iowa lost in the second round, so that wasn't good. But I had Baylor as my only team remaining once we got to the Final Four. And the others didn't matter. And now you see why. Because the Baylor Bears, I picked them, should have listened. Zander's Facts.
That's my line.
I said, remember, back when we had Andrew on the podcast, when we did the whole bracket, I said, Gonzaga, some games I saw this season, they started out slow, and they cannot start out slow. And they didn't start out slow for the remaining games of the tournament. But in this game, they did. They struggled early. Baylor came out on fire. en fuego. They were rolling. And how about this? Player of the game, Jared Butler, 22 points. The first player since 2003 to have over 20 points and over 7 assists in the national championship game. That player in 2003 was Syracuse's own Carmelo Anthony. I mean, come on, how about that? The Cuse, still coached by Jim Boeheim. I mean, that's crazy.
It's the truth.
He went perfect for the free throw line, and that was a big thing, too. Because in the first half, when Gonzaga started to claw back at the end of that first half, it was because they made 10 more free throws than Baylor did at the time. But as it turned out, Baylor made one more free throw than Gonzaga did. They went 16 for 18 from the free throw line. Gonzaga went 15 for 22, so Baylor had a much higher free throw percentage. But the big thing was our big boy Mark Vital on the boards inside. 16 offensive rebounds for Baylor, and 8 of those were by Mark Vital.
Wow!
That's insane. Gonzaga only had 5. Baylor dominated the rebounding margin. They got 38 rebounds. Gonzaga only got 22.
Yikes!
They started out hot, and they never trailed. Baylor never trailed in that game. Wire to wire. Big finish. Now, let's not take any credit away from Gonzaga. They almost had a perfect season. I mean, they almost went 32-0. And also, that shot that gave them the opportunity to come to this game back on Saturday in the Final Four when they played UCLA in overtime. If you haven't seen that shot, oh my god, I don't know what you're doing. But, I mean, Major Onions, come on! With a kiss! Oh my gosh, that was one of the greatest games, greatest shots ever. Gonzaga and UCLA. I mean, that was just incredible. And Baylor dominated Houston pretty well. Baylor is actually the second team since the tournament expanded in 1985 to win the Final Four game and the national championship game by more than 15 points. The second team to ever do it since the tournament expanded to what it is now in 1985.
Fact!
The only other team to do that was actually 3 years ago, Villanova, back in 2018. When they won the national championship, they won it by 15 points or more in the national semifinal and the national championship game. Actually, before 1985, there were 3 other teams that did that. Kansas in 52, Ohio State in 1960, UCLA in 1968. But those teams didn't have to face the gauntlet of the first round, the second round, the Sweet 16, the Elite 8, the Final Four, the National Championship game. Because back then, the NCAA tournament was smaller. They only had to go through a few rounds, less than they do today. Now we've got 68 teams. We had 64 for a while. We just expanded to 68 a few years ago with the first 4. But now there's 68 teams, a lot more than there used to be. So now it's a lot more impressive because you've been playing, not just basketball for a couple weeks, but you've been playing great teams. Baylor and Gonzaga were 1v2 in the polls almost all year. And it looked all year, I said this last week, that these were the 2 best teams in college basketball, and it wasn't even close. And it looked that way for most of the year until Baylor had their little COVID pause, which caused them to lose 2 games. Baylor could have easily been the second only undefeated team throughout the season if they didn't have that COVID pause. But they did, so, they lost 2 games, but that's okay. But, I mean, they won the national championship, so I think they'll take that trade off there. But if you haven't heard the story of Baylor and their basketball program and where it was at when Scott Drew took over in the early 2000s, I mean, I won't waste your time, but if you want to, go look. I mean, they were at the bottom of college basketball, of sports, athletics. They were on the verge of the death penalty by the NCAA. It had gotten so bad in Waco for men's basketball. And it's been that way. Baylor's had some troubles in these last 2 decades with their athletics programs. The football team just had bad thing happen. That was a couple years ago with Art Briles. And then this Gosh, I mean, it's crazy what Scott Drew inherited 18 or so years ago now, and that they're at this point. 18 years, so no, but just, go research what Baylor basketball came from to get to this point. It's incredible. It's one of the greatest rebounding performances by a coach, Scott Drew, in sports history. It's absolutely incredible. Baylor is your national champions, and I called it. So tell all your friends. Zander knows what he's talking about. So go tell all your friends. Zander knows what he's talking about. Zander's Facts Podcast. That's college basketball. It's over. That was the final game of the season. Oh no. We have to wait until November for more college basketball. But that does free up some more time for professional basketball. NBA. Ooh, might have to get Hillbilly back on. But that's college basketball. Let's transition into another sport that you all might not like so much. Golf. Oh, please. Let me tell you something. I've been playing some more golf recently. I had a round today. Did pretty well. Gotta tell you. Starting to come into my own. But it's Masters week. So after the national championship game on Monday, next few days, you get hype for the Masters. Augusta, Georgia. Oh. Well, Georgia's got... We're not doing politics this week, but Georgia's got that whole thing going with their thing where they can't hand out refreshments and lines to vote, and, we'll get into that later. But this is a friendly sports podcast for you all, because it is Masters Week, as I said, and we've got a special guest, Mason, my bud. He is here. Oh my gosh. So don't tune out, because you're about to learn a lot of stuff. He is very, super duper knowledgeable on the sport of golf and the Masters. So here we go. Zander's Facts Podcast continues. Masters Week. Here we go.
Zander's Facts.
Hey guys, so you're probably all annoyed with me telling you all about how great Instacart is. Well, guess what? It is great and awesome, and I'm not going to stop telling you about it, because Instacart sets a personal shopper out to deliver your favorite products from local stores to your door in as fast as 1 hour. I mean, that's amazing. Come on, how about that? Plus, you can choose from a ton of stores around you to always get what you need. So, come on, what are you waiting for? And how about this? I've got another new promo code for you all. So now through Sunday, April 11th, you can get $10 off your first 3 orders with a $35 minimum purchase. That is amazing. And all you have to do is use the link in this episode's description, and when you're ordering, enter the promo code 30OFF3NEW. That's 30OFF3NEW. 30OFF3NEW. That's the promo code. Plus, if you're a new customer, you can get free delivery on your first order above $35. But you only have until this Sunday. So use the link right now to get $10 off your first 3 orders with a $35 minimum purchase. Promo code is only available in the U.S. for new customers only, can be used with any retailer and non-stackable, but can be used on top of free delivery on your first order offer. So, go shop without even leaving your home with Instacart today.
Zander's Facts!
Welcome back to Zander's Facts. I've got Mason here with me, an avid golfer. Mason, how are you doing?
Good. How are you, Alex?
Well, I'm amazing because it's Masters Week.
Exactly. It's best week of the year.
Best weeks of the year. I wanted to ask you, because a lot of people say that the Masters is the biggest major in golf. What is your opinion on that?
I agree. Normally it's in April. So we got the April Masters coming this week. Last year, because of COVID, they had one in November. And that was pretty weird. But it's cool as a golfer to have 2 Masters in a 6-month period. But I think it's definitely the most exciting to watch.
That was definitely strange when it was in November last year.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of liked it, though. But it still wasn't.
Yeah, the course played a lot different because of the difference in season. So that was cool to see. You'd never seen it before.
Yeah. But now we've got it back in April. Now we've got that week where you've got the national championship for basketball Monday. And then that same week, you've got it's the Masters. It's the best week of sports all year.
Thrilling week for sports.
I mean, it's amazing. So we're recording this Tuesday. So tonight, I think, is when they have the big
The dinner.
champions dinner.
Yep.
Yeah, you know about that.
In honor
And
of
I heard,
Johnson.
so just Dustin Johnson's the champion because he won it back in November.
Yes.
I got a fact for you here. Johnson got 20 under par at last November's Masters, which is the record
Yes.
for lowest score.
Yeah, he was playing some crazy good golf at that point. He seemed like he couldn't be beat.
Well, do you think that that record low score was because of the change in when they played it, how the course played?
I don't really know. It's tough to say because they hadn't played in November before. But I remember the greens were still pretty fast. The course was obviously in really good condition. They do such a good job with that course. It's like,
Oh my
it's pretty
gosh.
unreal. I've got some friends who have gone to see it in person, and it's just unreal. But, shooting 20 under par on that course is crazy in any time of the year.
Like going to Augusta National, that's like a bucket list item for anybody.
Oh, for sure.
Like it's unreal.
Yeah, you've got to win a lottery draw to even have the chance to buy tickets.
Wow. To even watch, not even play the course.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, all right. So I am a little concerned though, because I checked the weather for this weekend and it's not looking so good.
What's it look like?
So Thursday, all right. So each day it's like highs in the 70s and 80s. So that's fine. But Thursday, there's a 40% chance of storms. Friday, there's 52% chance. Saturday, there's a 60% chance. And Sunday's only 30%.
Ooh.
But that's not
tough.
good.
There might be some rain delays going on.
No. What was it? 2019. It was the year Tiger won.
Yeah.
I remember they had the final round in like the morning. It started like 9 a.m.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really like that. Like waking up, and it was cool because that was the Tiger Revenge one, which was awesome to see.
That was the craziest comeback ever. Although now he's not even at the Champions Dinner right now.
No, because he had that accident back in February in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, because apparently it's like super serious what happened. So do you think that he's ever going to be able to play at least professionally again?
I think he definitely could play professionally again. Based on the injuries, I think I was seeing that it could be like 2 or 3 years before he really can play competitively again. But at that point, I don't even know if it's worth it to go back and try the PGA Tour again. It might be time to either try the Champions Tour or just hang it up and hang out with his son and let him grow. Yeah, I don't even know if it's worth it, kind of end on a high note after his comeback.
Yeah. He's 45.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I found the oldest Masters champion ever was Jack Nicklaus at 46.
Fact!
So,
I think it's definitely possible for Tiger to come back. It just depends on, honestly, whether he's capable of doing it based on his recovery and if he wants to, if it's worth it for him.
If he wants to, that's the big thing. Another thing with Jack Nicklaus, he has won the most Masters out of any player. He's won 6. And Tiger's won 5.
Yeah.
So, does Tiger want to get that 6th? Oh,
that's true.
I don't know.
Yeah. There's not too many things that Tiger doesn't own in the game of golf. And I guess that's probably one of them. That
is true. And he's one of the youngest Masters champions ever. I don't have that stat in front of me, but he's back when he won it in the 90s.
95 or something?
Let's see. It was 97.
97.
He won it. I don't know if he was the youngest. It might be Spieth when he won it a couple years ago.
Oh, it must have been pretty close. Speaking of Spieth.
I saw that tournament this weekend.
The win. That was his first win in 1,351 days or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Back when he won the Masters in 2015, they were talking about him being the next Tiger. He was rolling, and he's struggled recently.
I'm hoping for a big week at the Masters for him. I think he can do it. He's playing well right now.
Yeah, he just got that. It was the Valero Texas Open.
Yep.
Where he got first win in a while.
He shot 18 under.
Ooh. He actually got 18 under at the Masters in 2015, which at the time was a course record
Oh, was it really?
until
Dustin Johnson broke
Dustin
it?
John last year.
Yeah,
He was 21.
21.
He
Still
played.
really young.
He played in his first Masters at 19.
Okay.
That might be the youngest. I mean, that's insane.
He might have still been an amateur golfer then.
Possibly.
Yeah, he might have been able to go because he won the U.S. Amateur. Like they've got a couple players in the field this week of the Masters who are amateur golfers, like Tyler Strafacci, who won the U.S. Amateur, and then Ali Osborne
Mm.
from SMU, who was the runner-up at the U.S. Amateur. They both get to compete this week.
Ooh. So how do amateurs? So amateurs are like they're put into the whole field, right? They don't have their own separate tournament.
Well, they play in the field, but they've got like an award they can win for low amateur. So I think there might be like 4 or 5 amateurs that usually get the chance to compete at Augusta, and like the person who has the lowest score out of them wins low amateur. But obviously they can't win any money or anything to keep their amateur status. So
Yeah.
it's more about the experience for them.
So Andy Ogletree was the one who won it last year.
Yep, Andy Ogletree.
He got 2 under, which was tied for 34th. And it looks like the highest one has ever gotten, or the 3 people have gotten second.
I think
Amateurs.
Andy Ogletree beat John Augenstein in the U.S. Amateur the year before the last one.
Ooh.
And that's how he got into the Masters.
So can you only be an amateur once, and then you have to go up?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I'm not
like
sure.
I'm looking at that right now. DeChambeau was the amateur who won in 2016.
He's also playing some really good golf.
Ooh. Well, he's got that crazy swing.
Changing the game. He's putting on all that muscle.
Like I saw a video of him today at practice, and he just goes
Oh, when
like it's crazy.
that was him on the range yesterday. I think he does this like speed drill where he just hits balls back to back to back. And Vijay Singh was just watching him and laughing. Because it's just
insane.
I mean, you never see anybody do that.
Yeah. Like that's incredible. Tiger won the amateur in 95.
Oh, okay.
He got 5 over.
So that was the first time he played in the Masters?
I think so.
Gotcha.
But 3 people have gotten 2 over, or they've gotten second. The last one who did it, though, was Charles Coe, 1961.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a while.
Yeah.
It looks like the trend recently is they haven't gotten very far. But back in the day, when they probably didn't have as many people playing.
I think the big thing for them is trying to make the cut. You know, if they can make the cut and play on the weekend, have 2 more days playing at Augusta, that's huge.
That's the dream.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so back in the day, so the first Masters was held in 1934, and the champion was Horton Smith.
I didn't know that.
And he won $1,500. So last year, Dustin Johnson won $2,070,000.
That's a big fact.
Crazy.
That's almost 100 years, but that's still a huge difference.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So what else are you thinking about going into this Masters week? What other stats have caught your eye?
Well, honestly, the betting odds this week, I think Dustin Johnson is favored to win, but I haven't seen like a ton out of him lately. The big story this week has been Jordan Spieth, you know, like not having won for so long. I think this was his first win as a husband, which is kind of neat.
Yeah.
But it's just been so long since he's won, but he's playing so well. He's hitting his irons so well. I think he could have a chance. Justin Thomas has been playing really well. He seems like he's just always got a chance. Zander Schauffele too. He's one of those guys where when he's in the majors, he's just always up at the top at some point.
Zander.
See him win. Oh, yeah.
He spells it wrong, though. But
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Zander Schauffele. But Dustin Johnson, I mean, he's really underrated, honestly. Like, he's been playing so well, but a lot of people think he's, like, not very smart. But because he's got this very, like, relaxed vibe to him. But honestly, he's so dedicated to the game and just works so hard. And he's so, like, physically talented that he's really hard to beat when he plays well. But also Bryson, hitting the ball so far right now.
Oh, yeah.
He can take some different lines on the course and get a couple advantages. So if he's hitting the ball straight, he's been putting and chipping so well that we could break 20 under this week. I don't know.
Wow.
It could break
Wow.
it. I don't know.
That's the thing with him, though, because he can hit it far, but, I mean, you got to hit it straight. Like, if you go out
Exactly.
way out into the rough, that doesn't help you.
Yeah, I think he played in the November Masters, and I mean, he was having a huge advantage on this one par five. He could take it over the trees, and he only had like a pitching wedge in or something, and he ended up making like 7.
Mm-hmm.
And he had come out the week before and said like, "Oh, Augusta National is like a par 69 for me. Like, I don't even have to take all the shots. Like, it's just so much shorter for me. I get such an advantage." And then I think he probably made the cut, but he didn't play very well. So
He struggled. There was like a rumor that he wasn't feeling well or something.
yeah, I did hear about that. But I don't know. I think he could do well this week. It'd be cool to see any of those guys win, honestly.
So if Johnson won, he would be the first back-to-back champion since Tiger in 01 and 02.
01 and 02 were those were the Tiger years for sure.
Oh yeah.
He seemed unbeatable. But I don't know. Dustin Johnson, when he's playing well, seems pretty unbeatable too.
So you mentioned the odds. I have those pulled up actually.
Yeah.
So I've got the odds from FanDuel. So Johnson and DeChambeau are tied for first. They've got 10-1 odds. And then Spieth and Justin Thomas have 11-1. So I guess they're tied for second.
Yeah.
But that, I mean, was Justin Johnson really favored going into last year? I mean,
that's a good question. He was probably somewhere up there because I feel like he's always got a chance to win. So he's hard to bet against in golf, honestly, because he's always got a chance to win. So I don't know if he would have been favored to win, but he definitely would have been up there.
All right. Other guys, John Rahm, 13-1.
He just had a baby. Or his wife had a baby.
Wow. Yeah,
like I think either during this week or like last weekend.
Oh, wow. Well, that might, I don't know.
He's a really smart player. Yeah, like his knowledge of golf is so good. I mean, he made a switch from TaylorMade to Callaway, which was kind of unexpected because TaylorMade's got this huge like media shoot they do with all those players because they've got like Rory McIlroy, Colin Morikawa, Matthew Wolff, Tiger, DJ, and then they had Rahm, and Callaway picked him up. He hadn't been playing as well since then, but he's also such a good player. There's some guys, like, it's obviously incredibly hard to win on the PGA Tour, but some of these guys just make it look so easy. When they're playing well, it just seems like they're always in the top 10, and Rory had a streak of top 5s for a while, and so, I mean, all of those guys I could realistically see winning for sure.
So Rory's next. He's got 19-1 odds, but I've heard he's struggled recently. Is he one of those who hasn't been doing so well?
Honestly, what's interesting about him is like the game of golf in the past was all about, hitting it straight, keeping it in play, and then hitting good wedge shots and making putts. But what's interesting about him is he's a smaller guy, but he hits it super far. But he's not very good with his wedges. So he could have 100 yards, and you'd expect a tour player to be within 10 feet every time. And he could like miss the green. And he also just doesn't putt that well. So when he's making putts and, hitting good wedge shots, I mean, he's a really good player. It's just he's been kind of hit or miss with his short game the past couple of years.
So, all right. So after Rory, Patrick Cantley at 20-1, Xander Schauffele. I might want him to win, even though he spells his name wrong, at 25-1. And then Koepka at 28-1.
Haven't seen much out of Koepka lately.
No.
He was playing so well last year, but he's had some injuries and he's had to withdraw from some events. I'm not sure what's going on with him, but he's pretty unstoppable when he plays well too.
So Koepka won the U.S. Open in 2017 and 18, and then he won the PGA Championship in 2018 and 2019, so he became the first golfer in history to hold back-to-back titles in 2 majors simultaneously.
That's a fact.
Wow.
But that was a couple years ago.
That's pretty incredible.
So, no, I mean, is that about that Zander's fact? But, now, as you say, struggling a little bit.
He's such a good player. I think at one point or another, he's going to kind of make a comeback. And not to say that he's, kind of had a downfall or anything. I think he just had some injuries going on and hasn't been playing as well. But, he's a pretty dangerous player too.
Do you think he could rebound like Spieth is kind of right now?
I think he could, for sure. I think Spieth was, Spieth had such a big fan base because he was playing so well. It seemed like he was winning all the time. He was a young player. And then it was just so long. Like, he was considered one of the best putters, and people thought he was going to be the next Tiger Woods, and he just seemed like he made every putt. And then he putted terrible for a couple years and didn't hit the ball very well. So his comeback was kind of awaited by a lot of people. Koepka has only been off for a couple months, but I think people would still be really excited if he started to play well again.
All right, so with all that, final prediction. Mason, who do you have winning this year's Masters?
That's really tough because I like a lot of these players, but just based off of, I'm going to say Bryson DeChambeau.
Whoa.
Because just the change he's made in the past year. And first of all, his long game has changed like crazy. I mean, he's bombing the ball. He hits it far, and he hits it pretty straight most of the time. But what most people tend to look past is how good he putts. Like, he had a streak where he didn't miss a putt inside 9 feet. And it was like a tour record, I believe. But he's just so underrated when it comes to short game. I think if he can keep the ball in play, he's got a really good chance of winning.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. There you have it. I mean, I told you all, Mason is super knowledgeable on the sport of golf. I mean, come on. Incredible. All right. Well, hold on. So what makes you qualified to talk about all this first off, Mason? Because I just got, people are like, well, I got this random guy on here talking about golf. But I mean, you got to give your qualifications here.
Well, I've been playing golf for about 4 years now, which isn't that long, but I'm currently a +3 handicap. So, like, the first time I played golf, I shot like a 120, and then within 6 months, I had broken 80, which a lot of people struggle to do in their lifetime. So I'm pretty proud of that. But actually, just yesterday, I won the district championship we had. I was runner-up at the state championship. About to go to college to play golf. I've spent a lot of hours on the golf course, a lot of hours learning about golf. So,
well, you're going to go for the state champ this year, right?
Oh, we're going for it.
Oh, of course.
Like 2 weeks away.
All right, Mason, before we go, do you have anything else to say? Anything else to promote out there? What are you doing?
So I've got a golf media page called Scratch and Hack, at Scratch and Hack on Instagram. And it's basically just a golf media business based upon me, a scratch golfer, and my buddy who's like a 40 handicap. He's a brand new golfer. And it's his journey learning how to play golf, and my journey as a better golfer, teaching him to play golf and playing golf on my own, and my journey. So it's interesting. It's a lot of fun. So check it out for sure.
Zander's Facts follows that account. It is Zander approved.
There you go.
Like, it is amazing. Go follow Scratch and Hack. All right, Mason. Final thoughts, even though you already gave your prediction.
I think it's going to be a fun week to watch. I think we've got a lot of good players playing really well coming up to this event. And I think it makes it that much more exciting that Spieth won this last week. He's back in the winner's circle. Got a lot of confidence. I think this is going to be one of the more exciting Masters we've had.
Well, I'm excited, and I'm not usually excited to watch golf, but I mean, it's Masters week. Come on, you got to watch.
Exactly. Real exciting.
This one of the year. All right, Mason, thank you so much for being on the Zander's Facts podcast. We're going to have to check back and see if your prediction's right.
All righty, sounds good.
I mean, Zander Shawfield. He's got the name. I don't know. All right, thanks, man.
Thank you.
This is Zander's Facts.
All right, thanks again to Mason for being on. I mean, what did I tell you? The man knows golf, and he's really good. So listen, I mean, if DeChambeau wins, So I picked Baylor to win the national championship back when the tournament started. They did. If Mason gets that DeChambeau pick, I mean, come on. Zander's facts. These are facts. All right, y'all. That is it for this week. Zander's Facts Podcast, episode 10. Appreciate you all listening. Remember to subscribe, download, rate, and review. Follow on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Zander's Facts. Scratch and hack on Instagram. Follow that too. And spread the word. Zander's Facts Podcast has the facts. It does. They're real. Baylor. I'm never going to get over that. But next week, I got something brewing for you next week. We're going to introduce a brand new segment. It's that we've already recorded. It's pretty exciting. It's pretty entertaining. I think you all will like it. But next week, tune in. Brand new segment. And we're going to talk about some other stuff. I don't even know. I don't know. We'll see. All right. That wraps up this week's edition of the Zander's Facts Podcast, episode 10. Thank you all for listening. We will see y'all next week.